What is going on, guys? It's the Variety Film Brothers. I'm Andrew.
I'm Thomas.
And in today's Variety discussion, we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian, Season 3, Episode 2, The Mines of Mandalore. And I am so relieved because I was really thinking this episode was just going to be a bunch of stupid filler.
Yeah.
But it actually stayed very story-oriented, very focused this week. So I'm very relieved about that. If you guys saw our last video, I predicted that this episode would suck.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up enjoying it quite a bit. There's a lot to unpack here. But let's start with our ratings. You go first. What do you think this episode's worth?
I would give it an 84.
An 84? I think that's a good score. I have to go with an 80. I think there was a lot of good stuff here. I don't think it was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could have been a little bit better, but again, just so many good things. So let's get right into it. So the first scene is actually kind of a negative. So we're on Tatooine, and we're in the middle of this holiday called Boonta Eve, which we actually see in The Phantom Menace, and that is the holiday that the pod race takes place on. Like, the pod race is in celebration of Boonta Eve. So I would have loved to see another pod race.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why not? I mean, it doesn't need to be the focus or anything, but like, the thing that kind of bothers me is we see this little speeder race around the building, and it looks so lame.
Mm-hmm.
They're going so slow, and it's just like, why couldn't we have had like a pod race going on in the background or something? Just like, people would go crazy for that. It's not a complaint, just weird, I guess. I don't know, just a little odd. And then we see what's her face again from the last season and Boca Boba Fett. I literally don't even know her name.
I forgot it as well.
The one that helps Mando build his really freaking awesome new ship. Love that thing. But we also get R5 in here, R5D4 from A New Hope and Attack of the Clones. And I don't really know how I feel about that, because, like, do we really need that? I get it's supposed to be, like, this, like, fan service moment, and it doesn't hurt anything, but it's just, like, this droid is really freaking old at this point, and it was, like, it's weird enough to me that R2 is as old as he is, but, like, I kind of thought, okay, maybe R2 is just, like, this crazy anomaly, like, okay, like, he's lasted this long, but most droids don't. But no, this one goes all the way back to Attack of the Clones. He's just in the background, but still, like, I'm fine with it. I guess I like that he has a little bit of a personality. Like, he's the exact opposite of R2, whereas R2 is pretty courageous. R5 is a wimp.
Yeah.
So I guess he's got that going for him. But, like I said, this episode is much more story-oriented, and I love that. We get to Mandalore pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
I was worried, like, we weren't going to get there for, like, another 2 or 3 episodes, like we were doing with Season 2. Like, in Season 2, we, like, basically the formula of that season was, like, we'd hear about a place that Mando needs to go, and then they'd be on the way to go to that place, and then something would go wrong, and then, like, so we wouldn't actually get to where they're trying to go until, like, 3 episodes after we hear about it. But we end up in Mandalore, which is awesome, because Mandalore is such a big deal, especially in the Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you've seen any of the episodes that Mandalore is in.
No.
Well, yes, you have. You watched the finale with Ahsoka and Rex and Darth Maul.
Oh yeah.
That's on Mandalore.
Mm.
So he has seen some of it. We'll definitely brush Thomas up on some Clone Wars. Not all 7 seasons maybe, but like the essential stuff, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was very, very great to see that stuff again, for sure. They did the landscape very well, very detailed. It reminds me a lot of Raxus Prime from The Force Unleashed, except it doesn't have like this like acidic yellow quality to it. But other than that, very cool, very detailed. Something that I didn't like about the following scene is Mando's going down into the mines, or he's like hasn't made his way, I don't think, to the city yet at this point, but he encounters some of these creatures that apparently have lived on Mandalore for a really long time, and so he uses the Darksaber to fend himself off, but he sucks with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's terrible, and I get it, he hasn't like mastered it at all yet, but let's take a look back to the Book of Boba Fett fight, where he's just like literally cutting the butchers in half. Like, you remember that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he cuts the dude in half on the table. Yeah, like that wasn't like a crazy amount of skill, but like it was like basic enough, like fundamental enough. And in this episode, he can barely even wave the thing around. So like, has it gotten heavier? Is he just like
not practice with it?
Is he like skipping arm day? Like, what is he doing? Because you pointed that out too.
Yeah. Like, you would think that, like, if you get the Darksaber, the one thing that's like the like supreme of like Mandalore, you think you would learn with it and learn how to like defend yourself with it.
For sure.
Nope.
Or at least like be doing some curls or something to lift it a little bit better. And I just
At least twirl it, like.
yeah, I don't know. Like it'd be pretty crazy though to see Mando do like the lightsaber twirl like Obi-Wan and Anakin do. That'd be really weird. But yeah, I don't know if he's just not training with that or anything, because like I feel like Bo-Katan is like she's doing something because she can use it better than he can. And I know a lot of people have problems with that, but like we've kind of had it explained to us that it's not a completely physical thing. Like it's not just about strength.
Mhm.
So I think that kind of demonstrates that Bo-Katan maybe would be a better leader than Mando would be. I really don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I don't know if it's like skill wise to use Darksaber or it's like the potential to be a better leader with the Darksaber. Do you think it's more like a skill issue than it is like a leader issue?
I mean, I think it's about like half and half. I really think the Darksaber has some element, like some spiritual element to it. I think it like is almost like a living thing, you know? And I think it really, I don't know, they haven't really gotten into the Darksaber all that much. They've gone into the history of it, but I feel like there's a lot more we really need to learn about it.
Imagine Grogu with the Darksaber, though.
I feel like that's what they're building up to, honestly. There's actually a few things in here that I think they are foreshadowing for later seasons or just later in this season. But we're going to get to that at the very end. Something else I noticed about this episode is that it features the like classic like wipes, like the fade transitions, you know? And that is from the original like 6 movies, you know? The original, like the prequels and the originals did that. And I thought that was really weird because I don't think any of the previous Mandalorian episodes have had that very much.
At least not very often.
Not very often, but in this one it was really noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked that, but it makes me wonder, like, why?
Yeah.
So, again, not a complaint, just something I couldn't help but notice. So I already mentioned how cool it was to see the city of Mandalore from the Clone Wars. I mean, obviously now it's all run down and gross, and it used to be this really lively and colorful and very green place. I really wanted to see a flashback here because we have this like 10-second scene of Bo-Katan just like staring out at it, and it is a really nice moment. But I was really hoping we get a flashback, dude, because like, dude, if they bring in Ewan McGregor like to play Obi-Wan for one of these Clone Wars flashbacks, that's literally all we want. Like people were griping about that the entire time Obi-Wan Kenobi was going on. Like pretty much everybody, myself included, thought we were getting a Clone Wars flashback for that show. And if we don't get one in this show either, I'm gonna riot because it's just right there in front of me. I feel like just one scene, just one quick scene you could have written with Bo-Katan and her sister and Obi-Wan, because I don't think you really know anything about this, but Bo-Katan's sister, like she was the ruler of Mandalore for a little bit, or she was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she was queen. If she wasn't queen, she was very, very close to that position. And she and Obi-Wan were, like, in love. Like, they really had a thing, but couldn't really, you know, explore that because of stupid Jedi rules. And I was really hoping we get to see a scene with the 3 of them in live action, you know. I think that would have, like, that probably would have pushed my rating from an 80 to, like, a straight up 100. Like, so I don't know. But you don't always want exactly what you think you want, so if that makes sense. But yeah, I just feel like it was like just right there. Like it would have been so easy to just include like just a 1 minute long scene while she's like staring out into the city of Mandalore. And I mean, I think that would have been really good to include in the episode anyway, even if I wasn't like a really big Clone Wars fan, because I think it would really help the viewers to like understand just how lively this place was. Because it was only like, oh no, I'm having to do math. It was less than 50 years ago that the city was like completely populated and like in really good condition. And I think to like really make audiences feel what Bo-Katan feels, I think we should have seen that. I think we should have seen it in its high point, at least like I said, for a couple minutes. I think that would have been really good to see. I don't know. What do you think?
Or like maybe like whenever she's looking at it, like it like fades into like people running around.
Yeah,
and,
like, just
talking about missions, and then it fades out to like this place that we see. That's really
just at least a few shots of it, like from her memory, just like how it was. That would have been really, a really pretty easy thing to include, I think. Like, I know I mentioned like throwing Ewan McGregor in there, but you wouldn't have to do that. Obviously, I mean, I think he would do it though if you paid him enough. I don't know. I don't know why he wouldn't. But so while Mando and Grogu are like looking through the mines and everything, I really, again, this is another Clone Wars thing I wanted to see. You know the Darth Maul Mandalorians, right? The red and black ones with the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like there were hundreds of those in that battle at the end of the Clone Wars, and I really wanted to see just one of those laying around. And that's kind of another complaint that like kind of works as a sort of fanboy complaint, but also like kind of works as an in-show complaint because like all of the helmets that we see laying on the ground, they all look the same.
Mm-hmm.
And like in the last episode, we literally saw how different these helmets can look from each other. Like every individual person that's Mandalorian puts their own individuality into their suit, and I really love that.
Mm-hmm.
But all the helmets that we see, and I get that they're dirty and stuff, but still, you know, they all look the exact same. They all have the like most basic design, and they're all gray. I'm pretty sure. And I just thought that was a weird thing. I don't know. Like,
I mean, like, maybe it was to show that like those helmets had been there for a long time, so maybe like the paint did like decayed off the helmet and like rusted the helmet to make it look all gray.
I mean, I do agree that the paint definitely would have like come off at some point, but it's only been like maybe like around 30 years.
Yes.
At this point,
at least faded like a little bit, but not as much as it was in this show.
I agree. Like a nice like midway point would have been nice because I agree if it were like a bunch of really vibrant helmets that would have looked weird against this really like dirty, rusty background. But I think like seeing some of that paint like smear off or you know have some like rust spots or something like that, I think that would have. I know this sounds like a super small nitpick, super small detail, but I think it would have just done more to show like what's really happened, not just their planet, but their like way of life,
and like how recent that event
exactly,
actually
yeah,
was.
like because as Bo-Katan says, and as I've said already like 10 times, it really wasn't all that long ago, but we keep seeing all these things that make it not seem like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just weird because it like obviously I love Star Wars a lot, and I've seen every Star Wars thing, but like there's a lot of people that are kind of just watching The Mandalorian right now, just like passively, and like I feel like your job as a filmmaker on one of these projects should be to get more people attached to like the larger story, you know? I mean, isn't that like the point of like advertising these shows so much? Is like, hey, come watch The Mandalorian, and then once you've got The Mandalorian, like once you've got them hooked on that, then you probably want them to spend more time on Disney Plus, right? So like I just think they could be doing more to connect it to other things in more obvious ways, not like fan service, but just like I don't know. I feel like some things are just too subtle, or some things are too disconnected. You know, like they just weren't putting a whole lot of thought in how everything really connects together. But again, I know this is like super deep cut like nitpicking. It's just I don't know, when you just think it could be a little bit better, it just kind of makes you think, why couldn't they have taken that small extra step? But again, just me complaining.
Like maybe if someone for like maybe hasn't watched nearly enough of the Clone Wars to actually know the place on Mandalore, they probably could have shown that place like how lively it actually was to like make it seem, you know, like how the place.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Like that wouldn't be too hard in my opinion. Like I don't know. Maybe we'll get to see that again in the future. I do think that's one of the things they're alluding to is I do think Mandalore will be restored at some point. I either think it's going to be destroyed completely. I mean, like completely, like the Death Star is going to blow it up or something, or they're going to completely rebuild it. Since we don't see Mandalore in the sequels, I feel like there's maybe a higher chance it's just going to get completely destroyed. But like, I'm really interested in what's going to happen in the future of the Mandalorians now, and I give a lot of credit to just the 2 episodes that are out of this 3rd season. I'm really invested in this culture now. I think it's really interesting, and I want to know, does this culture survive? Because like they've talked already about how much they've been through, and I think they're going to have to go through a lot more before things get better. But like, I think it would just be pretty much another case of Rise of Skywalker, where Rise of Skywalker kills off all the Skywalkers. I swear to God, if The Mandalorian is about them killing off all the Mandalorians, I'm just going to be like, someone on the writing team hates Star Wars, like no doubt.
Like,
So I'm hoping things will look up for the Mandalorians.
It's like, I'm a sequel fan. I'm gonna write the Mandalorians. They all die in this last episode of season 3.
Yeah, like I mean, they've already confirmed they're gonna do more seasons past season 3, but again, that's just more time we're spending with this civilization. Like for all I know, at this point, we could have 7 or 8 seasons. So if we spend 7 or 8 seasons with Din, with Grogu, with this civilization, and it just all ends like the Jedi Temple did in The Last Jedi, catches on fire, everybody freaking dies, or turns evil. Like, dude, I'm gonna be so sad.
It's just a big nuke.
Just this meteor, they finally get the city rebuilt, and then it just.
It's just one stormtrooper, just like, now you will die.
I don't think most of the stormtroopers sound like Palpatine.
No.
At least I really hope not.
Just riding the nuke and just.
But back on topic a little bit. Something I don't think I mentioned in last week's episode. I might have, I don't know. But Bo-Katan's throne room, the set for that is really cool. Yeah. I like that quite a bit. I remember when the trailers were coming out for this, and we saw Bo-Katan's throne room. A lot of people thought that it was like the throne room in the city of Mandalore, the one that we saw all like run down and stuff. So people were making a really big deal out of that, myself included, because like for one, the throne room that she has here looks really different than the one in Mandalore, so a lot of people were already getting upset about that. But yeah, just a little detail I wanted to bring up. I think it looks really cool.
You think she's jealous of
of Din?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Like I really actually liked the scene where she sees his starfighter come in and she's like, "All right, yeah, let's kill him."
Yeah.
Like I mean, I don't know if she was actually gonna kill him because it kind of just sounded more like she was gonna tell him off.
Mm-hmm.
But she's angry.
Yeah.
And even though they have some nice scenes later on, this is actually one of the things I was gonna say that I wanted to save till the end. Is I think we're actually building up to a Mando and Bo-Katan duel. I think like that's kind of been on the table since the end of season 2 when she saw Mando with the darksaber and like the look on her face is just like, oh no you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no you didn't. I think ever since then they've kind of been like foreshadowing that, and I really think it's gonna happen.
Like their culture is just so weird. Like you would think, I know that like the darksaber has to be won in battle, but like, why can't the person just surrender in the middle, or like not even the middle, but like in the beginning of the battle? Like
they actually believe that's
fight.
They actually believe that's a curse.
That's stupid.
I know exactly. It is a weird religion. I actually something that kind of actually leads me away from that Mando versus Bo-Katan dual possibility is how much she talks about that. Like she hates that the Mandalorians have to fight. Like she really hates the history of all the fighting within their own culture. So. I really don't know which way they're gonna go with that because she wants to stop the fighting. She wants things to be better, but she is just so mad at Din right now. Like I'm actually really surprised that she went and saved his life.
Yeah. I
actually didn't think she was gonna do that. I thought like she was gonna be like, oh, Din's not here, and then like she was gonna find out something happened to him, and then she was gonna be like, oh well, less work for me.
So she probably did it because of Grogu.
Maybe, but I don't think she cares about Grogu all that much, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, but it kind of does demonstrate, I think, that maybe she would be a good leader for the Mandalorians. That even though she really does not like Din right now, she is still willing to save him.
Mm-hmm. And it's not even Din's fault either.
It's not even Din's fault. Something I wanted to bring up about the thing that kidnaps Din is that he really gives me, what was it called? Scrap Guardian vibes from Raxus Prime, bringing up Raxus Prime from The Force Unleashed again. Something about that design just looks really similar to me, or at least gives off really similar vibes. And, I mean, they've already taken from The Force Unleashed before, with the Incinerator Trooper back in Season 1. So whoever is on the Mandalorian writing team and is pulling things from The Force Unleashed, keep doing that. Like, whoever's doing that, I hope you get a raise, for one, and don't freaking stop.
Please don't.
That also reminds me, in the show Andor, which I'm not going to give my opinions about because I would get roasted alive. That actually features Starkiller's armor in a scene. Oh. There's a character who has a bunch of different artifacts from different cultures, different planets, and he has Starkiller's armor.
How do you get that?
I don't know. So it kind of makes me worry that Starkiller's been like assassinated at some point.
By his clone.
I know. See, dude, there's really no reason for me to have brought that up other than just the Force Unleashed connections. We might do a whole video on the Force Unleashed. Honestly, like watch the gameplay and all that. Like we haven't done it ourselves like 1,000 times. But if you guys want to see a video on that, let us know in the comments because that is one of our favorite Star Wars things just ever. It's the Force Unleashed. We could talk about that for hours. So let us know in the comments if you want to see that, and we could do that pretty easily.
I also played that game like 4 times all the way through.
Yeah, it's a good game, man. But another thing, I'm sorry we keep getting so off topic, but I mean, again, variety discussion. Expect us to get a little bit off topic. I think Din foreshadowed his death in this episode. There's a really nice conversation that he is having with Bo-Katan about Bo-Katan's father. And, you know, like she says that he was a great man, he died for Mandalore. And then Din just kind of stops. And he says, this is the way.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I never really thought Din would die for the Creed. Like, I never really thought about that. Like, the Mandalorian really seems like such an invincible character right now from a marketing standpoint because you know Disney does not want to lose him.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just don't see Mando dying, at least for quite a while. But I think if he does, I think he will die for Mandalore. I think that could be how this show ends, or how one of these seasons ends, is that Mando dies for the better of Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel about that if that was the case?
I don't feel like he's actually like all the way like for himself convinced that he's gonna die for the Mandalore. I think he's just doing that for her, because like
he's just saying it to comfort her,
yeah.
I guess, in a way, like kind of like a way of saying I'm sorry for your loss, but also like I respect him in a way. I see what you're saying. I saw it as more like he was really moved by that, and that like I would do that too, just as I believe any Mandalorian should. That's kind of what I took from that.
Yeah, because like he has to deal with Grogu right now, so I feel like
That's
his priorities are going to Grogu.
That's true.
More than the actual Mandalore.
That is a really good point. Actually, we have seen that he does prioritize Grogu over the Code, and that's why he's at the mines in the first place. Is because he had to take his helmet off to find out where Grogu was. So that's actually a really good point. You know, like there are just so many different ways this show could go. And to be honest with you, I was a little disappointed when, I forgot if it was Dave Filoni or Jon Favreau who said that this show is pretty much only halfway over. Like, there's still, like this is the very middle of the whole story they have at large. And a part of me is like, okay, that's really interesting. We're going to get into some really deep stuff here. But at the same time, like, this is going to get old.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I mean?
How much information can you, unbox in like a total of an hour?
Exactly. I mean, like, let's look at this show now as opposed to like the first season. I think it's getting bigger. I think it's getting better. But how much bigger can it really get?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I think, you know, you gotta end a good thing while it's still good.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's just gonna get like rancid. People are just gonna get sick of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want 10 seasons of The Mandalorian. I don't even know if I want 5, to be honest with you. I was hoping like season 3 or season 4 would wrap things up, because like that's a long time. Like that's like we're on chapter, what is this, the 18th episode, chapter 18 of The Mandalorian.
I think so.
If this is only half point, like, are we gonna have almost like 50 seasons of The Mandalorian? Like, does that not sound like a little too much to people? Because I think it does.
I don't know. Like maybe like one half goes to Din, and then like. No, like 3/4. I don't know. Like roundly, like half goes to Din, and then maybe the other half goes to Grogu later. Maybe he becomes a Mandalorian / Jedi somehow.
Maybe that is a really interesting element of this story. Is including, you know, having your main character be a species like, you know, whatever Grogu and Yoda are. Is that like they can live for a really long time. This story does have the potential to span hundreds of years into the future. Like Yoda says in Return of the Jedi. You know the line he has when he's like, when 900 years old you reach, look this good, you will not, something like that. Man, I love Yoda. I love that movie. I can't wait to get to Return of the Jedi, guys. But, yeah, so this series, in theory, could last for 900 years. Fictional years, not real years. Yeah. I mean, Disney would do that if they could, because, I mean, this show makes a lot of money. It's one of their flagship Disney Plus series. But yeah, so like, but do we want that? Like, do we really need that?
You would have to like pull out some like emotions from Goku. Like he could be angry about how he lost his dad, and like
he's gonna have to really evolve as a character because like for the last 3 seasons, like I love Grogu. Don't get me wrong, but like everybody loves Grogu. That's kind of like what's uninteresting about him at the moment. Like right now, what's interesting about him is his history. You know, because we still have that scene in the trailer. We're gonna find out more about Order 66 and when he was taken, and that's interesting. But again, like this show's already been running for 3 seasons. How much longer can we do this?
I really don't want to see them like juice one like storyline on 3 episodes. Like, what if we had a season where not season like like a season where like Grogu finds the people that took him in Order 66, but they like expand that for like 6 episodes. Like, see, I really don't want to do that.
That's what I'm worried about. Is like, if they're gonna have this story last for like another 5 seasons, is that even gonna be like, is each season gonna be its own story? Like, because really, like think about it. At season 1, we started at such a low point. Like it's just Mando going around doing bounties, and now we scaled up to like, okay, Din and Bo-Katan are gonna try to save Mandalore, or like that's what they're trying to do, or I think that's what the end goal is gonna be at least. And how much bigger in scale can you really get than that? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like the sequels' problem, where they're like, okay, well we want to include a Death Star, but how are we gonna make it even better than the last one? What they should have done was just come up with a completely different idea. What they decided to do was just say, we make another Death Star, but real big. And like I'm worried that's what this show's gonna turn into. It's just gonna like it's gonna have to get so big that it's almost funny, like it's almost comedical. You can't take it seriously, and it's like I really like where we're at now. But like I said, let's end it while it's good, you know. But I mean, I do love the show at the same time. So if they can keep it fresh, I guess I'm up for it. But my hopes in Lucasfilm are not that high right now. Like I've liked some of the Disney projects under Star Wars, or some of these Star Wars projects under Disney. Don't get me wrong, but again, they have a tendency to just draw these things out for too long and not really know exactly what the people want, and I'm just worried it's not going to end well.
I do have a question though. Do you think Din or not? Like, who do you think Din would save, Grogu or Bo-Katan?
Oh, Grogu 1,000%.
1,000%.
1,000%. But we need to get on with this. We've rambled for quite a while. The last thing I have on my list at the very end of the episode, Din gets to the living waters or whatever it's called, and so I really, for a second, I really thought he was going to strip down fully, which maybe he should have done, because what I have written down here is, so he gets out like past the steps and he just drops. Like an insanely fast amount. Like Bo-Katan jumps in. Like if she would have maybe waited a few seconds and then been like, oh, okay, he's not coming back up, and then dove in, I'd be like, okay, maybe Mando could have gotten this far down. But dude, Bo-Katan, she jumps in right after he does, and he is thousands of feet like below her. It is insane. Like we're talking like miles. And like there's actually a lot of controversy, maybe not a lot of controversy, but at least a little bit, as to like why he fell down that quickly. And like I kind of understand the point of this, because if it's just his armor that pulled him down that fast, that makes it really stupid. Like, and I would actually kind of like buy that that's what it was, because I mean he's wearing like fully solid Beskar armor, and it's like a lot of it too. So like I could see maybe where that would pull him down that fast, but again, think about how stupid that makes Din look.
But like we don't really see him struggle with that Mando armor whenever he's on land. So like that's the other side of the controversy, is people suggest that maybe something pulled him down. Current.
Like maybe, or just like some kind of animal, but like we didn't see anything on him or like wrapped around him when he was down there. He was just laying there, just like stuck again. Mando gets stuck a lot in this episode.
Maybe that animal like pulled him down, like yanked him down and then hid, and then
maybe, who knows? I really have no idea. But that's the big thing that we see at the end of the episode, is the creature that they all thought was dead. I'm blanking on the name at the moment. Mythosaur, something like that. I'm gonna get roasted for that probably. But so that was a really cool moment. I actually really liked that, and I love how like massive it is as well.
Yeah.
Dude, like, it's big. It's
Yeah.
not like the size of, like, even a Rancor. You know, like, we thought, like, remember back when Rancors were, like, the biggest, like, Star Wars animal?
Yeah.
Like, but this isn't, like, it doesn't just feel like a cheap way of making it bigger. Like, you really feel the size of it, and you really, like, feel the scale of it. And I love Bo-Katan's, like, reaction, even though we don't actually see that reaction. We just see her, like, we see the bubbles, like, come out from her helmet. Like, she's, like, gasping like crazy. Like, this really surprised her. And I really liked that. Like, that was a really subtle moment. But, like, not only you feel the power of it, but, like, she's seeing it, too.
Mm-hmm.
And what a way to end the episode, too.
Yeah. I wonder if it's going to attack them or not.
Probably not. I don't see it getting out of the water for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if at all. Like, that makes me wonder, again, like, what are we going to do with these?
Mm-hmm. Imagine it pops its head, like, over, like, it pops its head, like, underneath the water, and just says, like, doesn't say anything, but, like, just, like, pops up.
I was about to say, if it says something,
No,
I'm going to be so weirded out.
Just, like, it just pops out of the water, and then, like, splashes them with, like, water, and then they could, like, go back down.
Maybe something like that. Because a lot of people love that creature. Like, they definitely want to see more of it. So, I mean, I'd be up for that, too. Like,
yeah.
It's actually been teased all the way back from season 1, those creatures were. When Quill brings up that the Mandalorians used to ride those creatures, and so maybe we'll get to see that. But I don't know. That's kind of how the Book of Boba Fett ended, with Boba Fett riding a Rancor. Even though I didn't really like that scene all that much.
Yeah, it was not the greatest.
Yeah, there's a reason we didn't talk about Book of Boba Fett, by the way. But so that's it for this episode. Really liked it. Like I said, I gave it an 80 out of 100. This episode is a lot longer than last week's, or at least our episode on this is a lot longer than our last episode was. But this episode was also longer than last week's, so there's more to talk about, and I just liked it a lot better. Yeah. So hopefully we're going up, and we're not just going to hit a plateau in this show, because I'm really worried we're going to get some filler episodes, and it's just going to, like, because like I said, I'm really invested in this culture, in these characters right now. And the longer we stay on that, I mean, not too long, but, like, if we're fleshing it out and doing interesting stuff with it, then you've got me hooked all the way. But, you know, you start throwing in too many filler episodes, and you get something like Book of Boba Fett, or, like, Obi-Wan, just, like, stuff that's, like, fine, but definitely not the best it could be. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to say?
I don't think so.
All right, guys, so good episode. Definitely a lengthy one from us, but I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking about it, so no regrets here. I think it's going to wrap up our video. Thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you've made it all the way this far. Don't forget to like and comment down below to join the discussion, and subscribe for more content just like this, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace!